Good afternoon, Laura. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Mel. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. First and foremost, thank you for taking the time to join me today. I'm super excited to interview you for the second Women in Tech and Their Money series interview. And I think we have some really great women to highlight. And I'm so excited to hear your story. For those of you who are listening in, Laura and I had the pleasure of meeting 4 or 5 years ago now through Miss Tech, a wonderful organization here in Chicago run by a mutual friend of ours. And ever since then, we've had the opportunity to let our friendship blossom. And I'm really excited to have you here today and really want to touch a little bit on your business and what you do for folks and how you have handled successes and challenges in the women in tech space, as well as to share some money tips with our audience. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Laura and say welcome and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Mel. I'm excited. So a little bit about myself. I'm an actress, a director, and a writer, and just got tired of being a starving artist. I discovered that my creative skills that I'd learned on the theatrical stage really naturally translated to the business stage. And so now I've got the pleasure of being the COO, co-CEO of Tech Guys Who Get Marketing, as well as the founder and CEO of Satiated Artists. So Tech Guys, what they do is they bridge the gap between marketing and technology. They help purpose-driven businesses with both of those. And what Satiated does is we help visionary entrepreneurs who are concerned that they don't have enough time to do all the things they need to do in their business and unfortunately are frustrated. Right? And then they find themselves frustrated because the time they are spending is spent doing administrative tasks and not focusing on the things only they can do as, like the vision of the business. So yeah, both companies bring freedom and flexibility back into business so their leaders can focus on their vision. And right now, I would say we've got a couple of promotions, if it's okay to share.
Please do.
Awesome. So, as far as special promotions right now, both companies believe in the philosophy of first dates, get a chance to get to know us before you put a ring on it, metaphorically speaking. So
love that.
Me too. I mean, so many people want you to sign on the dotted line. You're like, I don't even know who you are yet. So what Tech Guys does is they do a complimentary needs analysis call where you'll be online with a tech or marketing expert. They can take a look really deeply into your businesses, and you can ask the expert all those questions that you're wondering about what's under the hood. And then with Satiated Artists.
That's really nice of an offer because I can tell you that, all business owners have a ton of questions and the things that are outside their realm of knowledge, and to have that resource is it's just amazing. So
thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like taking your car in, right? We sort of don't want to spend the time looking under the hood because they're just going to tell us we need new brakes or whatever. But the reality is you need to do that. Otherwise, your car may end up breaking down. I think oftentimes tech companies, as we grow, we build on top of what we have as we need it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, then you can sometimes find that you've got this huge tech mess that has to be untangled and you don't even know where to start. So just having someone, an expert, take a look at it can help at least point the direction. And then as far as first dates for Satiated Artists, what they like to do is they offer really just a complimentary matchmaking. It's a no-fee match. So you're able to be put in the room with 3 potential project managers or executive assistants that fit really nicely, that dovetail with your specific needs. And there's no upfront fee like with other matchmaking companies. So
I want to take a minute to comment on that in 2 different areas. So first and foremost, I feel like you were one of the pioneers in the VA space. I had no idea what that was. And the thought of hiring somebody that I don't even know or physically have the opportunity to meet to handle really important aspects of my business is a little overwhelming.
Right.
But you've been very successful in it, and I want to hear a little bit more about that. But I think second of all, the thing you keep touching on is the relationship, because I find that you're hiring someone as much as they're hiring you. And that matchmaking component is really important because there are going to be folks that just maybe don't fit personality-wise, service-wise, financially, whatever that may look like. And it's really important for both partnerships to work for them to be on the same page. So I think that's, I'd love to hear more about how you kind of came up with the idea of a virtual assistant and how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just stumbled into project management myself. I was freelancing, and I was freelancing with a particular company that was churning through project managers left and right. They weren't making impact. I think they had very rigid philosophies on how project management should look. So my client asked me to take on all of his accounts. And I said, well, that's so flattering, but you have so many accounts. I still want to do my art.
Right.
And he very matter-of-factly encouraged me to expand. And so we did, and we started with project management first. And then we saw that there was another need. Entrepreneurs often find themselves, like when you're starting up a company or when you're in early stage development of a company, you're wearing so many hats and you're putting so much pressure on yourself to do everything and be excellent at everything. And the reality is nobody's excellent at everything.
Right.
And even when it comes to interviewing and hiring and staffing your company, people assume that that they can just do it. There's a skill to it. Oftentimes we just fall in love with someone when we meet them, whether it's in person or online. We just like them as a human being. They might not be the best person to work for you. They might be the best person to become a friend and go out and have coffee with.
I can think of somebody that I sent your way where that's the exact thing.
Yeah, and it happens. But if you work with a company and that is their expertise and, you're trusting in them, what we found is, there are some matchmaking companies where you'll have a need and you'll go to them and they'll take down all of your needs and then they just go out and promote for it. And then they take in resumes and screen them for that. What we do that's different is we pre-screen. So we have an ongoing pool of anywhere between 60 to 100 people who are fun, dynamic, very, they have all the soft skills that people need in a company. And really that's what's going to lead to long-term satisfaction. And hiring an artist, oh my gosh, if they've got the freedom and flexibility to go to that audition and come back and make amazing impact for the entrepreneur, they're not going to leave to go up this corporate ladder job. That's what they're looking for. That's satiating to them. So I think in part it is, the people that we provide, but it's also the way that we provide that service. We believe in proving it out first. So, if you go into that interview room and you say, wow, Michaela, who's our chief of staff here, Laura, we've had a lot of conversations. I thought you knew me better than that. None of these people work, which to be honest, I think it's only happened twice. And once they went with an internal hire. But if that happens, then that's fine. You haven't paid an upfront fee that just gets, taken. Like we charge you as you use the time.
Well, that makes total sense to me. So
yeah,
I'm hearing the success that you have had, and feel free to expand on this, is the fact that you've been able to marry your passion of creativity and theater to business and making money and being around the people that you want to be around and promoting this kind of win-win situation. Would you agree? Would you add to that in any way?
I think you should do our marketing. I mean, that's exactly how it happened. Yeah. But it probably wasn't as strategic, at least at the beginning, as that makes it sound. I think, when we are leading, when we are creating, when we are entrepreneurs, we're connecting the ideas, the thoughts, the things that are around us. And so I had an opportunity. I tried to figure out why I had that opportunity and then how to duplicate it. And that's what I landed on. And I think I was right because it's working. We've done zero marketing. In fact, we've got a new website that is about to be launched. We're like the cobbler's kids with no shoes, all of our clients have come in for Satiated from word of mouth. And so, that's flattering. So that.
Well, and on that note, I would say, I feel like every time you and I talk, you always mention that you're bringing on a new client and that you're, growing your staff and growing your business structure, and to be a part of this journey with you along the way. It's been just amazing to be a part of. So, kudos to you, congrats to you. But I'm sure along the way you've encountered some obstacles or maybe some challenges. I can think of you, but in your words, what were some of the few that stuck out for you, and maybe how did they make you grow a little stronger, or
Yeah, that's a great
see where
question.
you are today? Because those pain points, they help you grow, right?
They sure do. They sure do. And I'm reflecting when you said, we've come a long way. I still remember that first meeting that we had after the Fem City, and I was thinking I should be more practical about my money and what I'm doing with it. And I just wanted to work with a strong woman. And yeah, the business is very different now than when you first met me.
Very different. Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably a universal struggle. The struggle for me, especially as I stepped into increasing responsibility when I was in my earlier career, it was balancing the feeling of having imposter syndrome, like I'm not supposed to be in this room.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to figure it out. How did she get in here? What does she have to add to this room?
Right.
And at some point, you just realize we all have this imposter syndrome. The world occurs in the way it occurs for everyone individually, and we're all just trying to figure it out. Once you just sit into the meditation helped a lot, personal development helped a lot, but just realizing the things that you do and don't have control over. And I think that, coupled with that are probably the typical frustrations of female leadership in sort of male environments. I have observed that there are different ways, obviously not across the line, but there is a pattern to the way men lead and the way women lead that I think is noticeable. As I kept stepping into more leadership roles, hearing my ideas being parroted back to me as if they were coming out of that male head it's a common frustration I think that women leaders have.
We could sit there and say compliment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, when something becomes so ingrained in a business that everyone starts speaking of it as if they've come up with it, first of all, you've hit on something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that anything you're doing that's worth doing has to come with a strong why behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And if an idea like that latches on, it's because it's latched onto the why. And so, bravo, you made impact. I could spend my time doing a male reaction to that, which is that was my idea. I need to own that. I need to remind you it was mine. Or I could just take that
over again.
Right? Or I could take it exactly as you said, Mel, as the compliment that it is. And I think women in general tend to look more holistically. I don't know how many team meetings I've been in where like a male leader is taking credit for something that was a team effort. That was always a frustration for me, trying to give that back to the team, because I think you never get to the top by climbing over other people. You show them the way, and eventually, like, it's effortless because you're all just getting there together. That's my philosophy. Mm-hmm. So, I found that my attempts to mimic the male style didn't work for me. I leaned more comfortably into myself, mm-hmm. into what I actually could control.
Right.
And I think the big lesson from that, Mel, is that I realized that what I was perceiving, the only way to change that was to step into and offer what I was needing. So if I was feeling left out of a conversation, if I was feeling overlooked, mm-hmm. my change was to seek to see and to bring into the conversation. And the more you do that, the more you're received in that way, the more you're listening, the more you'll be listened to, the more fascinating you find other people. And my gosh, that's one of my favorite things about storytelling. People mm-hmm. are amazingly unique, and I love their inconsistencies. And the more you just try to adore when someone is annoying you with an inconsistency that is just very challenging to the environment, the more they're in a place of possibility of change. You can never force anyone. I don't think anyone in history of ever has changed because you told them they were wrong.
Right.
Right.
Right. So what's it been like, obviously being the COO of Tech Guys, obviously guys is in the word of the company. So I would immediately go to the thought that a lot of the employees that you're working with are indeed men. Do you whip them into shape? Do you, find ways to, strike that balance?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we laugh about that. I mean, I
Good.
think the original name of the company was Generic SE because the founder just liked the play on that word. Like it's the opposite of generic because it's very creative. It's very marketing based. And before my time with the company, it became Tech Guys Who Get Marketing. We view the guys in that as like the Midwestern guys, where you say guy and you mean, everyone who's in the room.
Oh, that's good to know. That's a good definition.
No matter the gender or the gender identifying nature of the human you're in the room with, we just view it as like we're all guys. Now we have contemplated changing the name, and if we change it, it would probably be like Tech Humans Who Get Marketing, because we're always joking about our
Okay.
icon is this robot, and a lot of things we do with the robot is engaging with people in funny ways. So the company makeup itself is, I was just in the leadership call this morning, and it's all women and one man.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
actually
So
very
that's
funny.
a whole misperception.
It really is. Now, I mean, we've got great men on the team
Right.
for sure, but when you look at the leadership, there's one male leader on the team. So that's why I say we laugh a lot about it. It's almost ironic.
It's really ironic, especially when you read in all the papers, where
Yep.
we see that leadership board and how there's maybe one female represented on there. I mean, not even going down the diversity path, but so that's really a kudos to the team there to recognize how important it is to have female leadership to run that company. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, well, I'm going to switch gears here as part of the series. I have found over the years that a lot of the women that I work with are women in tech. And I think a lot of that stems from some of the successes and some of the challenges that you've brought up, because I have faced those as well in the financial services industry.
Yeah.
And so, to kind of wrap this all together so it makes sense, I would love to get some of your money tips that you would want to share with our audience, things that maybe you've learned along the way.
Yeah. So I've got a couple. I would say in business, this is more of a money philosophy tip. I think you need to balance the reality of what is with the vision of what you want it to be.
Okay.
So, and I'm remembering specifically, there's a client I worked with who wanted to price their product very high.
Mm-hmm.
And they had reasons, like what they were giving was very high value. And at the time when they started the company, they could charge top dollar. But as business changes and grows over the years, other people come into the fold. And so how do you compete in the marketplace? And the reality is, if you're finding you're not closing at your dollar point, you need to face the reality that you're not closing at your dollar point. You can either fight against it. Well, the customers just don't get it. We just need to speak to it in a different way. We need to market to it in a different way. And sure, try that. I'm not saying just pivot your price without testing it, right? But if you find that you try that and it doesn't work, then that is the reality of the world in which you exist. And reality is constantly shifting. So you have to shift with it.
I think you just hit the nail on the head there. I mean, innovation, you have to innovate constantly. And the second component of that too is really that, businesses should have multiple revenue streams, right? I mean, the pandemic, I think, showed us firsthand how quickly things can change overnight, and you have to be able to pivot and have different ways of having revenue generated for your business. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. That was actually my second money tip I was thinking of. You taught me well. No, you have to diversify your income stream. And I think because it just protection proofs you. There's so much, and the world is changing ever quickly. It's changing more exponentially than I think it did 20 years ago. And it was changing more exponentially then than it did 100 years prior to that. It's just the way reality is, and we have to face what is, right?
Absolutely.
Not what we want.
What just happened in the last year?
Yeah.
I mean, industries have been turned upside down. They've been shut down. I mean, the virtual world. I mean, who would have thought you'd be positioned to just be in the right place at the right time, and in all the right reasons.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and to speak to that, and that's another money tip is, I don't think I understood how money worked until things locked down in 2020 in about March, and realizing, oh my goodness, this this piece of paper, let's just say it's a dollar bill, only has value if I give it to someone else and they give it to someone else and they give it to someone else. Oh, it has to move to have value. That's how the economy of money works. I mean, I'm what, 48 years old now, and I finally figuring out how the economy works. So, if you broaden that scope, then what makes it have value? I think the real value behind money is people.
Mm-hmm.
And when that all happened, and everyone freaked out, myself included. It's a different sort of freak out when you have a company or business or clients, right? Which
And you have employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So you have your own personal reaction to the situation of the reality of what it is, and then you have to step up as a leader in that moment. And what I did was got on the phone immediately with my leaders, and I said, okay, here's the deal. We're on a ship, and our goal is everyone gets to shore. So I'm charting the course.
I love that analogy.
I thought you might. Yep, exactly. Everyone gets to shore. So it's my job as a captain to stock the ship with supplies. So I got to go focus on financing. I've got to focus on, PPP or whatever it is that we can get access to so that we can shore ourselves up. And your job is to hold down your departments, keep everyone, happy and moving forward and supported. And we're going to pull up as many people on the ship as we can on the way. That's our goal, period.
Right.
Everyone gets to shore. And what I did first and foremost to shore up our supplies was I got on the phone with every one of my clients because I knew that they were having that same reaction.
Right. And
I knew that they needed me in that moment. And so I had a conversation, and we're boutique-y enough that we could do that. We don't thousands and thousands of clients. I can get on the phone with 50 people, right? And what I found was there were opportunities that helped down the road. So one particular client, we had just closed on an EVA as an example. And she said, look, I just lost my biggest client. I did not see that coming. I think I'm going to have to not move forward with this engagement.
Oh, wow.
And I listened and I talked through her fears, and I thought, you can push the sale. You can go from like a male perspective and just push the sale,
right.
Or you can think about what she needs right now. And I said, okay, I know that your goal is to have that support so you can do the next thing. Would it help? And there is absolutely no pressure, but would it help if and I just adjusted. I said, what if we remove the matchmaking fee? Because at that time we had matchmaking fees. We don't now. What if I remove the matchmaking fee? What if we keep you at this hourly rate? Would that help? And she's still our client today. She has referred several more clients to us.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't approach it with, like, how can I give? What do you need? And the rest of it will get figured out.
Well, right.
Because I do believe the universe reverberates that.
Perfect example of how you innovated, you pivoted, but you also, like you said, people is the currency, and the relationship was more important to you than closing the sale, right? And I think that's why, your boutique firm is as successful as it is, right? So
thank you. I think so too. I mean, we lost one client, and I feel so privileged that that's the only ding we had, and we gained so many more over the year unexpectedly. So, but people are the currency. Money is a symbol of the relationships that you have, right?
Absolutely. I couldn't have put that better.
And how, and how you work and manage and support one another, and for sure. I would say my other advice is work with you, work with Mel if you don't have a financial advisor, because understanding how your money works for you, like I get the people part of it, but that's all I know. Once I have the money, I don't know what to do with it. So.
Well, luckily, we've been able to figure that out along the way, right?
We have. You've been tremendous help.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's pivot to a close here. What else? How can we find you? I know you mentioned a few promotions at the beginning of our interview here. Where can we find you on social media? What's the best way to get in touch with you if we're interested in taking advantage of those promotions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess if you're looking for digital tech marketing, something of that nature, you can message me at, what is my email address over there? It's Laura at techguyswhogetmarketing.com, which is like the longest URL in the world, which is another reason we should consider changing our name. But I think if you just do Laura at techguys.co, that works. There's a shortened URL. But if you go online, techguyswhogetmarketing.com, it's kind of an easy name to remember. And for Satiated Artists, if you're looking for admin support, it's just Laura at satiatedartistsplural.com.
Okay. And I know we can find you on LinkedIn as well.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you could just find me on LinkedIn. It's just Laura Gouin. I should probably look this up because there may be more than one of me. I don't know.
And of course, anybody listening to this, interview, I would be more than happy to make the connection to Laura as well.
Oh, you're the sweetest.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, I think my LinkedIn URL is, yeah, I think it's just, I might be the only Laura Gouin. Huh.
Okay.
There I am.
There you are.
All right. Maybe it's an unusual name. It's the French. It's a 3 vowels coexisting. Gouin.
It's very romantic.
Yes. That's what I think of.
All right, Laura. Well, thank you again for taking the time. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to sharing it out there with the rest of the world so they can appreciate your personal story. So have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Mel. I appreciate your time.